Hello everyone, and welcome to the fifth video in the Tunnel Construction Risk Management Visualization series. In previous videos, we worked on the project schedule, the financial report, the risk register, risk ranking, planned risk responses, and expected monetary value. In this video, we will be combining a few techniques, specifically Monte Carlo Simulation, 3-point estimation, and triangular distribution, as part of our quantitative analysis that will provide a more reliable costing for the tunnel construction project. We are going to use 3-point estimation with optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic, with triangular distribution simulated 10,000 times. You can use any number of simulations that you wish. I will provide the R code that was used to produce the triangular distribution of all of the work packages, so using the total optimistic, total most likely, and total pessimistic values that can be seen at the bottom with these calculations. We are now going to add our Monte Carlo simulation to Power BI. Add a new page and rename it Monte Carlo Simulation. We will be using an R script, so go to Get Data, More, Other, and select R script. Click Connect. So I will provide the R script for this. So I'll go get the R script and I'll paste it here. But of note, the optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic values come from the totals taken from the work packages at the bottom of the Excel file. So these are the three numbers that were generated, the total of the numbers that were generated from the historical data, the expert judgment, and analysis. And for our Monte Carlo simulation, we're going to do this simulation 10,000 times. You can do this any number of times as you wish, but 10,000 is what we'll do for this example. With that, click OK. So see that processing is happening. In order to use R in Power BI, the input must be a data frame. So that R script generates a data frame that you can import and bring in as data into your Power BI. So this duration column dataset is a result of the triangular distribution that was run 10,000 times with the 3-point estimation. So there are 10,000 values here. So I'm going to click Load. If you get a notification that asks you to enable R for Power BI, make sure you go ahead and do that. If this doesn't work for you for whatever reason, you need to have R installed on your machine in order for this to work as well. So, okay, now with that, let's go search for our data frame. And we can see here that the data frame was brought in with the column duration. So if we go take a look at it in the table view, we should see that it's all of those simulations, the 10,000 simulations that were run, and we can see 10,000 here, and this is the result of it. So I'm just going to, while I'm here, I'm going to change this to be 2 decimal points. And that looks good. Okay, so going back to our report view, now we're going to bring in our R visualization. So in Build, select R Script Visual, and you'll see that this has popped up here. Now it says to drag the fields into the values area. So we're going to go get our duration, and we're going to click and drag it on top of our R visual, and then you'll see the R script editor is created here. Again, I will provide this code for you to add and to play around with. So I've got my code, and I'm going to paste it in my editor here. And so a lot of this, so since this is a Power BI visualization series. I'm not going to get into too much detail about the R code itself. If that's something that interests you, please leave me a comment. And if I get enough interest, I will do videos of stepping through the R code and the meaning of all that. But this is specifically for risk management and visualizing that. So that's why we're just copying and pasting this code. Okay, so in order to display the visualization, we're going to be using the ggplot from R. And what's important to note here is that we're going to be visualizing the distribution of those 10,000 simulations or 100,000, however many you selected. Okay, and then I've added the title here, and then I've added the X and the Y. You'll see here this P80 quantile function that is being performed on our data set. This P80 represents the 80th percentile in a triangular distribution. That means that this is the point where 80% of probable events accumulated, as this is the value that we are going to use in our tunnel construction project as the most accurate. For your project, this can be 90%, 70%. For this example, I selected 80%. And you'll see here that I wish to have this value displayed. So let's go ahead and run the script and produce our simulation. So here's our Monte Carlo simulation. I'll make this a bit bigger. And we can see here, I've added a bar for the mean value just so we can kind of see a little bit better the distribution where it's landing. And if you see here at the top, the result of the simulation, now this is accuracy, right? So the value for this example is $569,854 approximately. That represents the costing for the work packages. If we go back to the financial report, so keep that number in mind, that static value here of work packages, work package costing was $498,000 approximately. So project managers can compare these values and do analysis with executives and make appropriate decisions. Because Monte Carlo simulation, it is a quantitative simulation and it is more accurate as we have more simulations of the behavior of the optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic. So this value here is more accurate than this type of calculation, because Monte Carlo simulation with those 3-point estimations is based on historical data. It's based on expert input, right? So now we're going to complete the visualization for this report page. So I'm going to make it bigger, the canvas bigger. As usual, I know I need a bit more space, so I'm going to make this 1500, and then I will make the simulation. Oops. Oh, that looks good. Okay, so now let's bring in the table. So I've gone ahead and added or created the Monte Carlo 3-point estimation Excel file in SharePoint, and I've imported it into Power BI. And again, since we've done this a few times, if you don't know how to do this, please go back and watch the first and second videos, as we did it a couple of times there, and refamiliarize yourself. And then come back here and we'll continue with adding that data into this visualization. All right, so I'm going to go find the 3-point estimation table. And there it is. We can see that we have our work package and then our 3 points estimation. So if we want to go take a look at what that looks like, there it is. And you can see that's what we recognize, right? Okay, so now let's add our table visual. And I'll place this up here. And inside the table, I'm going to add the work package name, the optimistic values, the most likely values, and the pessimistic. And I'm just going to rename these for the sake of the visual. Right, so I'm just going to go and change these numbers to be currency and 2 decimal places, as we're talking about money here. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so again, I'd like to see my entire table here. Now for this visual, we can leave the totals here because they're useful to us. For others, I know we've taken them away, but this one is fine. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. And then finally, we want to see our number, right? So we have our Monte Carlo simulation here, and we have that 500 and I believe it was 569,854. Now remember, this number is going to be slightly different for you. You know, it's a distribution, and depending on how many simulations you select, this number is statistics, right? So it's not going to be identical. So right, all right. So let's finish up and add our visual of our P80 number, that 80th percentile in the triangular distribution. So I'm going to go to my data, and I'm going to create a new measure. I'm going to call it work package. P80. And actually, I'm just going to give it this exact number here, more or less, right? So 569,855. So 569,855. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to display that number. Open that again. And that's work package 80. And this is a currency dollar amount. So now in our overview page, we'll be able to compare things like that. So I think this one, we did convert our last kind of KPI numbers to millions, but in this case, the work package costing was in the thousands. So that's consistent with the total amount that the actual work packages cost, excluding the labor costs, excluding other fixed costs, right? So there's still other costs that are not directly found here. And like I said, this is an example, and for your project management, you would account for that, right? But okay, so here's that number. And now we have completed the Monte Carlo simulation using R integrated in Power BI. Now we have reached the end of our report pages videos. So in the next video, we're going to put it all together and finally create that overview dashboard, which is what you've all been waiting for and what we've been working towards for the last 5 videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.